Hi everyone, Olivia Reiner here for Packers News, joined by Ryan Wood, and we are here at AT&T Stadium to recap the Packers' 34-24 victory over the Dallas Cowboys. What a night, namely for Aaron Jones. Over 100 rushing yards. He ended up finishing the game with a total of 182, both rushing and passing yards, and receiving yards. He was not throwing the ball. Aaron Rodgers was throwing the ball.
All-purpose, yeah.
All-purpose yards. Big night for him. A huge night, namely because Davante Adams, as we all know, did not play. Someone needed to step up, and ultimately it was Aaron Jones.
And I think it's no secret, it was no surprise that Aaron Jones was going to be called upon for that role today. The question was not whether he could do it, because we know that what he can do, but whether he could sustain it. And he did it all 4 quarters. I mean, he was phenomenal. He was the story of the game. He was the best player on the field. He was, in many ways, the reason why this team came out of Dallas with a huge win. I mean, the Packers are 4-1. Who had that? Who had that at the beginning of the season? Who had that last week, losing to Philly? Really, I mean, it's phenomenal for them to come in here. There's two big road wins this season. The opener in Chicago, I didn't pick them then. This one in Dallas, I didn't pick them today. This team, they just keep winning. I mean, it was really impressive.
I did not pick them today either. I will own up to it. I had someone tweet me and call me out because I did discuss this over the live stream.
How dare you?
I told this person that I'm returning my crystal ball to the store tomorrow. So expect to see me there. But let's talk a little bit about the defense as well.
Yeah.
We'll start with Kevin King, namely, guy that was upgraded to questionable status yesterday over his groin injury, and he ended up having a huge game. I think he had 6 tackles. He forced a fumble. He was doing lots of stuff out there on the field today, and he wasn't even supposed to play.
Had the pick.
And the pick. How can I forget the pick?
And at that moment in the game, you just knew, because all the momentum had swung to the Cowboys sideline, and they were once down 4 touchdowns. Now they were down 2 touchdowns, and the Packers were in good shape. But you just kind of felt like they needed one play. There's one play just to push them over the top, and Kevin King was the guy that provided that play, which shouldn't be surprising since he's on the field because he's one of their best players. Like, people that don't think Kevin King's any good, I don't know what to tell you because he's one of their best players. It's just that even himself, I asked Kevin King after the game, like, Wednesday, did you feel like it was probably a long shot you'd be able to play for the groin, through the groin? And he said, yeah, I mean, midweek, he did not think he was going to be able to play. Did not practice Wednesday, did not practice Thursday, was listed doubtful on Friday. He said, though, that he was he was doing some stuff, is what he said, doing some stuff. Just some working out, some light activity on Friday, and his groin, he said he was surprised then. Like, his groin started to feel fine. Like, it started to loosen up, and there was no pain there. And he was kind of like, and woke up Saturday, kind of expecting to be sore since he said he revved it up more and he did more throughout Friday. But when he woke up Saturday, it didn't hurt. The pain was gone. So he was upgraded from doubtful to questionable. Still had to test it out on the field. He was out 2 hours before the game, before kickoff, kind of testing it, going through some runs and sprints and jogs and whatnot. Groin felt fine, checked out. Medical team cleared him. They still were careful. Chandler Sullivan, who had an interception, kind of spelled some snaps from King. But at the end of the game, after all that, Kevin King makes the play that pushes this team over the top. Kind of emblematic of the week this team as a whole had, kind of coming off that Philly loss and needed to, kind of take some introspection, I think, early in the week, and now ending it with a win.
Guys, thank you. If you're over on Facebook, love to see you, love to hear from you in the chat. We appreciate all of your questions. Of course, we're also over on Periscope and YouTube as well, so wherever you're watching us, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll continue along our chat about the defense that was much improved since their game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Robert wants to know how Zadarius Smith is doing. He left a handful of times from this game. Ultimately, it seemed to be that he was dealing with a knee injury, but he kept coming off the field, coming back on the field. He got hurt again. He was down on the field, come back in at some point, and he ended up staying in for a little while. And he and Preston Smith, again, very productive, had a few sacks in between the two of them, and now their running total for the season stands at 10.5 sacks through 5 games. Where did he find the energy to power through that?
Yeah, I don't know. So you talked to him after the game. Did he say anything about the knee after the game?
He said he was feeling fine. He didn't address specifics about the knee itself. the two of them have been talking to the media together,
right.
and it has not been very nitty-gritty focused, as you can imagine. It's been quite the spectacle. There's a clip over on PackersNews.com about Zadarius Smith addressing Ray Lewis's comments from earlier this week about the Packers' defensive leadership. He said that those comments provided motivation to the defense tonight in their win. He also mentioned that he printed out papers. He didn't say what exactly. I want to ask him about this tomorrow. He didn't say what exactly were on the papers, but he printed out some papers. I'm assuming some quotes might have been on there from Lewis, and he put them up all over, I don't know if it was the linebackers room or, some of the whatever meeting room, and was using that as sort of, as in the words of Aaron Rodgers, a galvanizing statement for the Packers defense to show up and to have a game, and they certainly did tonight.
Yeah, Zadarius Smith, 5 sacks, never has had more than 8.5 in a season. Preston Smith, 5.5 sacks. He's never had more than 8 in a season. As you said, 10.5 combined. They're through 5 games. They're at a sack-a-game pace right now. Both those guys, if they stay healthy, they're going to clear their career highs with ease. I mean, it's amazing, and I wrote this immediately after the game. It's amazing how just overnight they've come in here and completely changed this Packers pass rush. And Zadarius Smith has had some stuff that he's had to play through this season, and he's been able to still produce. I should add, kind of changing gears on Kevin King, he left the game at the end with the knee, kind of went into the blue medical tent on the sideline, told me after the game that it's just a bruise, had someone fall on it. Does not expect, it's certainly not as severe as the groin. And does not expect that it's going to be an issue going through the week, especially keep in mind that this team plays next on Monday Night Football, so you do get an extra day. He should be fine.
Mm-hmm. All right, we are losing our light here, but thankfully we've got a light right on the camera. Let's talk a little bit about the Packers' run defense. That was a big focus coming into the game today. The Packers were allowing well over 150 rushing yards
523 in 3
over the
games.
last 3 games. So It was quite the staggering number. Mike Pettin chalked that up to the basics just not being there among the defensive front. And today, Ezekiel Elliott, as we all know, a very prominent rushing force, was held to 12 attempts for 62 yards.
Not enough attempts.
Not
enough. And I don't want to hear about the whole 31-3, right? Jason Garrett came out in this game intent to throw the football from the very start. Through the first quarter, when it was absolutely still a game, and keep in mind, and I understand that late in the first quarter they're down 14-0, I don't care. It's still a game at that point. You're going against a defense that's allowed 523 rushing yards in 3 games. There's no need to abandon the run then. Through the first quarter, really, until the last, Ezekiel Elliott had a carry on the last play of the first quarter. To that point, 5 passes for Dak Prescott, a run, so really 6 passes for Dak Prescott, 3 carries for Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know what this Cowboys staff saw on film. For them to think that you're going to come out and just air the ball out on this Packers defense, which the strength of this Packers defense is covering the pass, rushing the passer, covering the pass on the outside. For them not to come out and pound the rock, from the very beginning, I thought was astounding. I'm not talking when they're down 4 touchdowns in the second half. I'm talking from the very beginning.
Yeah. For
them not to do that, it was surprising because, yes, Dak Prescott had 463 yards, but he also had 3 interceptions. He took 3 sacks, and the Packers defense they want you to run the throw the football on them, and his rating today is 83. I was surprised by the game plan for the Cowboys.
Yeah, as you mentioned, 463 passing yards for Dak Prescott. By the end of the game, the second half for the Packers definitely was not at the same level as they were in the first half. And the Packers defense started to allow some bigger gains from the Cowboys. What do you think that came down to?
Cowboys playing at home, first of all. It was going to be hard to sustain. I mean, the Cowboys are a good team. Now, how good they are, I think, is a fair debate, but they're not, certainly by no means are a bad team. They're playing at home. You're not going to go in and win 45-10 against a team like that on their home field. I mean, I get Packers fans wanting to see more finish today. Bottom line is it was a heck of a win. And at the end, even with the Cowboys having momentum through much of that second half, the Packers made the plays to come away with a really big road win. So I put way more stock into the win than I do the fact that the momentum changed in the second half. I think that, it's a bottom line league, and bottom line is they're 4-1.
Mm-hmm. So someone that I thought might have a big game in Davante Adams' absence tonight was Jimmy Graham. He ended up having 3 catches for 41 yards. I think he also drew a holding penalty at one point.
Yeah.
But is that improvement from Jimmy Graham? Is that something that the Packers can expect to see out of him going forward, or is there more that he can offer?
I think it is what it is, and I think that's about what you're going to get from Jimmy Graham. And it was not nothing. He had a big third down catch. He's given some production here. He's not a game changer. He hasn't been a game changer. I'm not sure he'll ever be a game changer again, but he was productive. And I think if you're the Packers at this point, you're probably taking that. So I get, what the salary says, the cap hit, all that. I get that. The reality is the reality, and that's what you're going to get from Jimmy Graham. So I thought it was a nice game, not a great game, but that he was able to give him some production in the passing game, which is, as you said, was really important with Davante Adams out.
Someone that we talked about a little bit post-game that was a surprise welcome to the Packers roster today was Trey Carson. He was called up in place of Dexter Williams, who was not active for tonight's game. And Carson may not have had the most yardage in the world, but he was pretty key on certain blocks and had a solid first game with the Packers tonight.
He played his role. He played the role well. That's why he was elevated, was because all the other stuff other than running that he could do, and it wasn't an issue.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Josh wants to know if there's any updates on Darnell Savage Jr., who left the game early with a lower body injury of some sort.
So we're not going to have the update you want until they start practicing. That's just the reality. You don't know after a game. He left was out with the ankle injury. We'll see how severe that is as the week progresses.
Yes, we meet with them tomorrow. We'll hear from them, but
we won't
know then. But later in the week, check back. We do this pretty frequently, so hopefully we can answer that question later on in the week. All right, I think we're going to start wrapping it up here soon. They've got a pretty long week ahead of them. They'll play the Detroit Lions at home on Monday Night Football. I think the Eagles game, these guys came out pretty banged up tonight. The team came out pretty banged up as well. This will be a good week for them to recover before hitting the big stage on Monday.
So, big picture, the way the game was played was pretty reminiscent to the 2016 divisional game in January of 2017. Here, the Packers went out to a 21-3 lead, and then the Cowboys clawed and fought and inched back. They got even closer then. They came down to a field goal back in January 2017. But almost 2 years ago to the day, 2 years ago Tuesday, this Packers team left AT&T Stadium in the 2017 season 4-1. You might remember what happened next. The week after, Aaron Rodgers breaks his collarbone. But they left 4-1 from AT&T Stadium, a place that, by the way, they still have never lost. And it sure looked like this team back then was unstoppable. Like Rodgers was red hot. The offense nobody could stop it. They're playing out of their mind. And that all got derailed a week later, but it's reminiscent of where they're at now. They're obviously the identical record. They're 4-1. I think that 2017 team going into Week 6 was better than this team going into Week 6. But I think that when you look at big picture, when you look at their ceiling, I think the ceiling is higher on this team because what we've seen defensively, that we just didn't see that for years with this Packers team. And what you also have seen is improvement the last 2 weeks offensively, and they're still not where they need to be or where they want to be, but it seems like they're getting there. It seems like offensively they're getting to that point, and there's been clear improvement from the first couple weeks. I don't think there's any question about that. So when you look at their ceiling, maybe not as good right now as that 2017 team that left this building 4-1, but from a ceiling standpoint, how high can they go? This team could be really good by December. I think this is, if you build up like a crescendo to the end of the season, this could be a scary team because of what they have offensively and defensively by the end of the year. it'll be really interesting.
The offense has absolutely progressed over the last 5 weeks to this point. Steadily, it's taken some time, and as you said, it's going to take some more time to get to exactly where they want to be. But the run game has made some huge strides so far. I'm curious to hear about, after the fact, once they watch the tape, what exactly they did differently tonight to really let Aaron Jones loose.
A lot of inside zone, and our Tom Silverstein is going to be writing about that. They went with the inside zone tonight instead of the outside zone, and it worked pretty well for Aaron Jones. Obviously, 4 rushing touchdowns, and he was a difference maker. So, but I do think the first Aaron Jones touchdown, the 18-yarder, which to that point might still be the longest rushing play of their season. If you watch that play, the block Billy Turner made, you talk about inside zone, the block that right guard Billy Turner made on that play just completely wiping out the lineman and opening the middle of the field. It was a huge running lane for a guy as slippery and as explosive as Aaron Jones. I mean, plenty of room for him. Those type of things. I mean, the offensive line had its best game of the season today, and that was part of the reason why Aaron Jones was as effective as he was.
All right. Well, guys, we'll see if they commit to more of the inside zone run than the outside zone run going forward. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much. We love hearing from you. We love interacting with you guys. It's always a lot of fun. We will be heading back to Green Bay very early tomorrow morning. Not going to be sleeping very much, but good news is we'll be covering all the media shenanigans, everyone that's going to be speaking. I believe the locker room is going to be open. I even think we're going to be hearing from assistant coaches. Yeah. So lots of excitement. Make sure you're checking out PackersNews.com for all of your Packers coverage. Tonight, lots of stories up online. Make sure you're heading over there after you're wrapping up with us. Thank you guys.